the Jamie Vardy rumors just won't go away, and this time they've come roaring back stronger than ever. Once again, the veteran striker's name is doing the rounds with fresh reports and cheeky suggestions, sparking serious debate among fans and pundits alike. Could he really be heading north to Ibrox? On the surface, it sounds outrageous. A fairy tale move straight out of Football Manager. But the noise around it keeps getting louder, and that always means there's something to dig into. Rangers are deep into their summer rebuild, trying to assemble a squad capable of challenging on all fronts this season, and the idea of bringing in a big name like Vardy, even at his age, would certainly shake things up. And let's be honest, this isn't just any rumor. This is Jamie Vardy we're talking about. A Premier League winner, a Golden Boot winner, a striker who went from non-league football to becoming one of the most feared forwards in England. So when someone with that kind of pedigree gets linked to your club, it's impossible not to get a bit excited, even if your logical side tells you it's probably not going to happen. But is it really that far-fetched? Let's rewind for a second. Vardy is currently without a club following his departure from Leicester City. He's 38 now, sure, but his name still holds serious weight, and his goal-scoring instincts haven't suddenly disappeared overnight. That said, not everyone is convinced. Former Rangers midfielder Andy Halliday didn't mince his words. When asked about the potential move, he poured cold water all over the hype, making it clear that any comparisons to previous high-profile signings like Jermaine Defoe are wide of the mark. According to Halliday, Defoe was a totally different animal. Dedicated to fitness, disciplined in his lifestyle, and adapted to the type of football played in Scotland. Vardy, on the other hand, has a reputation for being a bit more, let's say, unconventional. Halliday even joked that while Defoe was a vegan for 2 decades, Vardy is known for having energy drinks for breakfast. It's a different level entirely, and in his eyes, it's just not the right fit. He raised another valid point too, playing style. Vardy has always thrived when he's got space to run into, when defenses are pushed up and there's room in behind. That's exactly the kind of scenario you rarely get in the Scottish Premiership when you're playing for Rangers. Week in, week out, you're up against teams that sit deep, defend compact, and make it incredibly hard to find space. It's a different kind of challenge, not one built for a striker who lives off counterattacks and long balls over the top. That's where the doubts start to creep in. Could Vardy adapt to that? Could he change the way he plays after a career built on raw pace and timing? Now, while all this was going on, Rangers were busy on other fronts too. They've just announced the signing of a new centre-back, a towering 6'4" defender who joins the squad on a season-long loan from Wolverhampton Wanderers. His name is JG Nasser, and he becomes Russell Martin's 6th signing of the summer. From the moment he spoke to Rangers TV, it was clear the lad is buzzing to be here. He called Rangers one of the biggest clubs in Europe, said he wants to play every game, and that he sees this move as the perfect step for his career. You can tell he's motivated, hungry to impress, and eager to show what he's all about. And he's not just talking, he's already showing it in training. Pictures have emerged from St. George's Park where the squad is preparing for their Champions League qualifier later this month, and Nasser is already making his presence felt. In fact, he managed to split his head open during a passing drill. You heard that right. A passing drill assistant coach, Matt Gill, even joked that it's the first time he's seen a player draw blood in such a session. But they're taking it as a good sign. Proof that he's aggressive, committed, and ready to battle. He's only 22, but he's already turning heads, and the staff seem genuinely excited about what he can bring to the backline. This new addition adds much-needed steel to the Rangers' defense, especially with the kind of high-intensity schedule they're expected to face this season. But it also highlights something important about the club's recruitment this summer. There's clearly a focus on bringing in young, hungry players with room to grow rather than just going after big names. That's where the next story fits in perfectly. Rangers have been heavily linked with Theo Balo, a winger from the Austrian Bundesliga, who had a standout season with Wolfsberger AC. We're talking about a player who racked up 25 goal contributions last year, a mix of goals and assists that made a real statement. Balo is just 23, already capped by Austria at senior level, and reportedly available for around £5 million, a fee well within the range Rangers have spent in recent windows. But unlike some of those previous signings, Balo's numbers tell a story. He's not just a flair player, he delivers. He played nearly every game for his club last season, stayed injury-free, and consistently made an impact in the final third. That kind of reliability has been missing from Rangers' wide options lately, and adding a player like Balo could give Martin's squad a real boost heading into the new campaign. What's really interesting is how this potential move reflects a shift in Rangers' strategy. Rather than chasing aging stars with big reputations, they're turning to leagues like the Austrian Bundesliga, competitions that are tough, physical, and high tempo, not unlike the Scottish Premiership. It's a sign that the recruitment team is thinking smarter, looking for players who are not only talented, but also a better tactical and physical fit. Players who can come in and contribute straight away, but also have the upside to develop into major assets. Balo fits that mold perfectly. He might not be a household name, but his trajectory is pointing upwards, and that's exactly the kind of profile Rangers need more of. Back to Vardy though, because whether you believe the rumor or not, his name won't go away anytime soon. It's the kind of story that captures attention, fuels discussion, and keeps the transfer window buzzing. Even if it doesn't happen, the fact that people are talking about it shows just how much appetite there is for something big at Ibrox. The fans want a team that excites them, that goes out and makes bold moves. But the key is balance. It's about finding the right players, not just the right headlines. That's what Russell Martin is trying to do. And it's a tricky game. And speaking of striking options, it's worth noting that Rangers are still in the market for attacking reinforcements. Another name being mentioned is Luke Dong from PSV. Now this one feels a bit more grounded. Dong is younger, more adaptable, and reportedly still on the radar despite having returned to training with his current club. PSV boss Peter Bosz admitted that he's spoken with Dong about his future and that he's keen to keep him, but also stopped short of ruling anything out. That tells you there might still be some wiggle room there, and if Rangers decide to push it, could be a very clever bit of business. Dong brings a different kind of profile to the table, not just in terms of ability, but also in attitude and lifestyle. That's been a key talking point when it comes to this whole Vardy situation. Halliday's comments, while blunt, weren't necessarily wrong. In today's game, especially at the top level, conditioning and mentality matter just as much as talent. And that's where Rangers have to be cautious. Bringing in a player like Vardy might make headlines, but would it make sense on the pitch? Would it fit the system? Would it align with the squad's dynamic? These are the questions Martin and his staff are surely asking themselves behind the scenes. Meanwhile, training continues at pace, the squad is shaping up, and the build-up to the Champions League qualifiers is in full swing. It's a huge few weeks coming up, not just in terms of games, but also recruitment. Every signing now matters. Every decision is being weighed with the season in mind. Because make no mistake, this campaign is a big one. Expectations are high, the pressure is on, and the fans want results, both in the league and in Europe. That's why the board and the coaching staff can't afford to miss in the market. Every addition has to count. So whether it's Vardy, Balo, Dong, or someone totally off the radar, the next few signings could define how this season unfolds. And as the transfer window rolls on, you can bet the drama will only intensify. As the transfer window ticks on and the rumors grow louder, what's becoming clearer is the strategy behind the scenes at Rangers is shifting, maybe even evolving. Under Russell Martin, there seems to be a real move away from signing players just because of their name or past glory. The club is taking a more analytical approach, looking deeper into player performance, fitness records, tactical suitability, and character. And that's why so many fans are split on the Jamie Vardy links. There's a real sense of nostalgia and excitement tied to the possibility, but also a healthy dose of skepticism about whether that kind of move would truly fit the long-term vision. You can feel the tension in the fan base. On one hand, Vardy is the kind of player who brings experience, edge, and a killer instinct in front of goal, something any team would crave. But on the other hand, you've got a squad that's being rebuilt with youth athleticism and longevity in mind. Bringing in someone near the end of his career could risk disrupting that balance, especially if it meant sidelining a younger talent or reshuffling the system just to accommodate one man's style. And that's where Russell Martin's job becomes more complex. He's not just managing a team, he's managing a project. And that means every move has to align with a broader plan. The Vardy noise might be deafening right now, but behind it all, you've got real movement happening in the shadows. The addition of players like Nasser signals a clear focus on physicality and presence at the back. Rangers have been vulnerable at times when it comes to handling direct balls, set pieces, and aerial duels. NASA with his size and aggression ticks. A lot of boxes. But it's not just about his physical tool, it's about his mindset. From his interviews, you can tell he's come here with something to prove. He's not treating this loan like a holiday or a chance to coast. He wants to leave a mark to be remembered, and that hunger is exactly what Martin is looking to inject across the pitch. That same hunger is what's drawn attention to players like Tubelo. When you watch his clips, what stands out isn't just the numbers, although those are impressive. It's the way he plays with urgency. He's not afraid to take on defenders. He presses aggressively, he tracks back when needed, and he always looks for the dangerous pass or finish. That kind of energy is infectious in a squad, and it reflects a player who still has a point to prove. It's no surprise Rangers are circling. And even though £5 million is a serious investment, it feels like one that makes sense. It's the kind of deal that could pay off massively, both on the pitch and potentially in future transfer value. What's also interesting is the club's growing interest in the Austrian Bundesliga. It's becoming a bit of a talent pipeline. For smart clubs across Europe, not only is the level of competition higher than many give it credit for, but it also produces players who are well-rounded, tactically educated, and used to physical battles. For a team like Rangers, who need players ready to cope with the demands of the Scottish game and the pressures of European nights, that's a valuable asset. Bailo isn't the first and won't be the last from that league to be linked, and it shows the recruitment team is thinking globally, but with a local mindset. Meanwhile, the coaching staff are working overtime to integrate the new faces and get the squad up to speed before the crucial Champions League qualifiers. The sessions at St. George's Park are intense, competitive, and tailored to simulate real match scenarios. That's where players like NASA are starting to stand out. It's not just about raw ability, it's about showing the mentality to adapt quickly, to take instructions on board, and to commit fully to the team's style. When a player is already throwing himself into challenges hard enough to split his head open during training, it tells you something about his commitment. That's the kind of warrior mentality Rangers will need when they go up against European opposition, where margins are tight and every detail matters. The fans remember all too well the heartbreaks of past seasons, the missed chances, the defensive lapses, the moments where composure was lacking. This year, Martin and his staff are trying to eliminate those weaknesses by building a group that's not just talented, but also mentally sharp and physically robust. And that's why every signing has to be more than just a highlight reel. They have to be battle-ready, capable of handling the pressure that comes with wearing the badge. And then there's Luke Dong, another name that refuses to disappear. He might not have the same name recognition as Vardy, but from a footballing perspective, he could end up being the smarter signing. Dong's versatility is a huge plus. He can play across the front line, he links up well with midfielders, and he's got a decent work rate off the ball. He's still got a few rough edges, but that's where coaching comes in. And under someone like Russell Martin, who's shown he can develop young players, there's a real opportunity for Dong to grow into a key figure. The fact that PSV's manager, Peter Bosz, has openly said he wants to keep Dong shows the player isn't just being cast aside, he's valued. But sometimes a player needs a new challenge, a fresh environment where he can take the next step. Rangers can offer that. The platform, the fan base, the European exposure, it's all there if Dong is serious about pushing his career forward. A move to Ibrox could be the perfect springboard, and for Rangers, bringing in someone with his profile would be a strong signal that they're planning not just for today but for the next few seasons as well. You can feel the urgency in the club's actions. There's no time to waste. The qualifiers are around the corner, the league campaign is fast approaching, and the pressure to start strong is enormous. The board knows that patience is thin, especially after a couple of frustrating years where things didn't quite click. That's why this window has to be spot on. The squad needs to be deeper, faster, more resilient, able to cope with injuries, fixture congestion, and the unique grind of Scottish football. And if they can get that mix right, this season could be something special. But with that comes risk. Every signing is a gamble in some way. You're never quite sure how a player will adapt to the city, to the league, to the expectations. That's why due diligence matters more than ever. And it seems like Martin is taking that part seriously. There's been a real emphasis on speaking to players directly, understanding their mindset, their motivation, their goals. It's not just about stats and scouting reports, it's about character. Because at a club like Rangers, talent alone isn't enough. You need mental toughness, a thick skin, and the hunger to win at all costs. All of that brings us back to Vardy, because while the idea of him pulling on a Rangers shirt under the lights at Ibrox is thrilling, the question is whether it makes footballing sense. Would he buy into the intensity of training, the tactical discipline, the off-ball responsibilities? Would he accept rotation, possibly even coming off the bench in tight games? Would he be the leader in the dressing room or a distraction if things didn't go his way? These are all things Martin and his staff are undoubtedly weighing up behind the scenes. And while the answer might still be no, the fact that it's even been discussed shows how ambitious the club remains. Meanwhile, off the pitch, the fan base is as passionate and divided as ever. Some want the marquee signing, the headline grabbing, a rival to send a message. Others prefer the data-driven long-term model that's more sustainable and efficient. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Rangers can be bold, but they also need to be smart. They can go after stars, but only if they fit the system and the squad. It's a delicate balance, and it's what will ultimately define the success or failure of this rebuild. One thing's for sure, the weeks ahead are going to be crucial. The training sessions, the friendly matches, the signings, the Champions League ties. It's all building towards something bigger. The club is clearly moving with intent, and every bit of business is being done with purpose. Whether it's Jamie Vardy, the Bello Luke Dong, or someone else entirely, the names linked to Rangers this summer reflect a club with serious ambitions. Now it's just a matter of turning those ambitions into reality. Because when that first whistle blows on opening day, all the speculation fades and only the performances matter. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a quiet murmur gathering pace around Ibrox, and it's not just the clatter of boots on the training ground. Word has it that Rangers, under the guidance of boss Russell Martin, might be reining in their transfer ambitions this summer. It's not confirmation, not quite. Just enough to stir speculation among fans and pundits alike. Martin, speaking in his usual composed manner, hinted that the club is choosing to be more measured in its approach to signings. That in itself has set tongues wagging across Govan. While he stopped short of declaring a transfer freeze, his remarks suggested a more selective strategy is in play. Perhaps a sign that the Light Blues are focusing on quality over quantity, or possibly keeping a tighter grip on the purse strings. Insiders whisper that the days of large summer overhauls may be behind the club, at least for now. There's chatter that the board is urging prudence, with Martin reportedly aligning his recruitment plans with a more sustainable model. It's got some supporters concerned, especially those craving marquee signings, but others believe it could mark a smarter, more long-term vision. Martin's philosophy has always leaned toward building strong systems and nurturing cohesive squads rather than flashy short-term buys. Some close to the club reckon this isn't just about budget. There's a growing belief that the gaffer wants players who fit a very specific mold, ones who buy into the culture and graft as much. As they glide, still questions linger. Is this restraint a temporary strategy, or does it reflect a broader shift in the club's financial or competitive outlook? Are Rangers simply biding their time in a tricky market, or is something deeper brewing behind the scenes? Whatever the case, the silence on the transfer front isn't going unnoticed. In Glasgow, silence often speaks loudest, and just now, it's saying that change may be coming, just not in the way most had expected. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated. By Rangers FC, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.